Hello guys, welcome to the Elevate Your Soul podcast. Today I want to talk to you guys about our physical health and about food. Now I've made two lists of foods that I think one of the lists is foods that you should avoid at all times and just completely get rid of from your diet. And the other list are foods that you should minimalize and try to avoid, but keep in mind you just need to have balance, and these are foods that I wouldn't recommend having often at all. Now, in saying this, I am not a dietitian. I haven't studied this at university, but I've been highly fascinated and obsessed with diet and health and physical health pretty much all of my life. So from what I've learned and experimenting with my own body and seeing how other people interact with these types of food and, symptoms like IBS or acne and whatnot, to avoid all of that kind of stuff, you want to eat a good diet. And every body is completely different, so everybody's diet is going to look somewhat different for their specific body type, and that is absolutely fine. But as a general, there are some foods and some things that we shouldn't put into our bodies, and our bodies aren't meant to digest or handle these substances or these food or these chemicals and preservatives. So in saying all that, I'm going to first of all give you the list of things that you should really never have. And if you are able to take these things out of your diet completely, I honestly would congratulate you for that, and you should congratulate yourself for that, because these are things that are really not good for you, but a lot of people are consuming them, and quite often. So there are 3 things on this list that I made that I think nobody should ever consume because the body is not meant to consume them. Our number 1 is sugar. Refined, processed white cane sugar. Stay away from it. It is pretty much a poison to your body. It is addictive, it changes the chemicals in your brain, it is basically a drug, and you want to avoid it, especially foods that have a lot of sugar in it. If you are reading the ingredients list to the things you are reading, and anywhere in the world, the ingredients list on the packages you are eating food or buying food from will always be in the list from what they contain most of to what they contain least of. And if sugar is any of the top 5 ingredients of what you're eating, throw it out and do not consume it. Don't put that white sugar in your coffee or your tea, and that means, most of Starbucks drinks will have a lot of white sugar in there, all these syrups made from glucose that they pump in there. You want to stay away from these high refined processed white sugars. Second on the list is alcohol. You know that when people are drunk or intoxicated, we call it intoxicated. This person is intoxicated. And if you look up the definition for intoxicate on Google, it means poison, to poison someone. You are poisoning yourself when you are drinking alcohol. Every beer, every wine you are consuming, you are putting poison into your body and making your body put up with the stress that this alcohol puts on your liver and your organs and your digestive system and your colon, and every single part of your body is stressed out, and your brain. And your body has to digest that or get rid of it and process that the best way it can. And if you're constantly putting that poison into your body, you're going to see some negative health effects, and they won't be your typical health effects that you'd expect to get from alcohol, because that can show up in any area, in any different form or way, depending on who you are. Third on the list are artificial sweeteners. Definitely stay away from anything that ends in AME, such as aspartame, acesulfame, neotame. Avoid these, and even saccharin and sorbitol. Get rid of the artificial sweeteners. If you see sugar-free labels on your foods and you think they're healthier because they don't have sugar, read the ingredients list and see what they put in there to make it taste sweet. Unless it doesn't taste sweet, then you're probably safe. But if it tastes sweet and it says no sugar, read the ingredients list and see what they're adding in there. Things that are okay to sweeten your foods with, I would say, is maple syrup, honey, agave nectar, or stevia. Now, the reason I say you should avoid those three things at all times is because when we consume food, even though alcohol isn't a food, but I put it in there because so many of us drink it, is that when you put things into your body that your body has a hard time digesting and handling and processing, is it puts a lot of stress on your body. And it puts a lot of stress on your body on top of all the stress you already have. And it is completely unnecessary. And when you keep adding stress in your body on top of all the mental stress you have, and then putting on all this physical stress on your body, you're gonna end up getting sick. And you're gonna end up with bad skin, such as acne. You're gonna get bumps on your skin. You're gonna get rashes. You're gonna get rosacea. Whatever it is, your skin's not gonna look as good. That's how it's gonna show up. It's gonna show you symptoms on your body, on your skin. Your eyesight might be poor. It might not be as good as it used to be. Your nails might be brittle and crack. Your hair might be dry and thin. All these symptoms your body is trying to tell you. And if you're not listening, eventually your body is going to scream and the signs are going to get bigger and larger until you cannot avoid them anymore, such as pain in the body, keeping you awake at night, or developing cancer and tumors in your body. Cancer stems from stress within the body. It is a disease. It is a dis-ease within your body. And your body cannot be at ease when you are shoving this shit into it every single day or every single weekend. It is not healthy for you. It is not good for you. And if you don't take your health seriously, your body is going to fall apart. And you can choose to be in denial about that or not. And you can choose to do something about that or not. Now, the other list I've made are foods that aren't going to kill you if you consume them. I feel like if you can avoid all these foods as well, amazing, good job, congratulations to you. But I would say that these foods are a little less harmful, but you do want to minimize the intake of these foods and have them at a balance. And by that, I mean, once every second day. And it depends on the amount you're having as well. If you're having a plate full of, something you shouldn't be having, or a tiny little bit of something that is not so good for you on the side after a really healthy meal, every third day is going to be very different from saying, oh, this is a cheat meal and I'm allowed one big giant cheat meal every single day. That's a little bit different. So finding the balance that works for you, and kind of just use your common sense and tune into your body and ask yourself, is this really good for me or is this not? And if it's not, then listen to your body and listen to your intuition and listen to those signs. So in saying all that, I have a list of 4 other foods that I feel that we should really not be consuming much of or at all. Are white flours. So white baked goods, all your simple starches such as white breads, muffins, cupcakes, cakes, all these things that are really fluffy, that have no earthiness, no density to it, no nuts, no, a carrot cake with walnuts with wholemeal flour and grains and seeds is going to be completely different from if you're eating a packaged, processed, pre-made cupcake that is white and dissolves in your mouth. Your body processes these foods exactly like it would sugar. And as I said before, you want to avoid sugar. So you really, really, really want to avoid these white flours. And the reason why I didn't put it in the other list is because sometimes white flours can be added to things that have a million other ingredients and there's not too much white flour in it, and that's why I'm not going to put it on the list of things that I think you should never, ever, ever, ever eat, but things that you shouldn't consume much of. The next one on the list is deep fried foods, especially when they're deep fried in canola oil. And I will tell you, 90% of the deep fried food that is made in restaurants or takeaways will be deep fried in canola oil. You can ask next time you get fish and chips or whatever you're eating that's deep fried, ask them what oil they put it in. It'll usually be canola oil. And this is a man-made oil that is highly, highly processed these days, the way they make it, and it is not at all good for you. Do not buy canola oil. Do not consume it. Do not buy it in your house. Do not fry your own food with it. Stay away from canola oil and limit the amount of deep fried foods you eat. Next on the list is animal protein. Reduce all dairy, meat, and one that I don't think many people think of very often is all these protein powders. So if you're into your protein shakes or you add protein powder to your smoothies in the morning, a lot of the time it's going to be whey protein. Go look at the protein powder you were using and read the ingredients list. And if there's whey protein in it, and that's spelled WHEY, that is made from dairy. That is made from a cow. That is made from a calf's nutrient in order to grow into a big, beautiful cow. And you are consuming that in a protein form that has been highly processed to just take out the protein from it. So stay away from those whey protein powders and find a protein powder that is not from an animal, that is not animal-based. But the thing with dairy is it has lactose in it. And as human beings, we don't have lactase in our bodies, and we need lactase in order to digest and process the lactose that is in these dairy foods. And we only produce a little bit of lactase in our bodies when we are weaning and when we are being breastfed as babies. And very, very few people on earth actually still produce the lactase to digest lactose. So majority of people cannot properly digest dairy. And although you think you can, your symptoms might just be very mild and maybe unnoticeable to you, but your chances of digesting dairy properly is very, very slim. So definitely stay away from dairy. And last but not least on the list is coffee. Have coffee when you really need it. Have it when you really, really are craving it and wanting it. And that doesn't mean every single morning. That doesn't mean you should be having coffee every single day. Your body will become reliable on it. And a lot of coffee, especially the cheap coffee we have these days, it is processed, it has chemicals added to it, preservatives added to it, and you want to stay away from it. And if you are having a coffee and you are someone who's sensitive to the caffeine, but you love the taste, such as moi, get a decaf coffee. But I recommend getting a decaf coffee that is processed by only using water, and on the decaf packaging that you get, it will say Swiss water processed or CO2 processed, and this is the only healthy way that you can decaffeinate coffee without adding bleach and chemicals and all these terrible chemicals and additives to the coffee beans in order to extract the caffeine out of it. So you just want CO2 processed or Swiss water processed decaffeinated coffee, and still I'd say limit that. So there are my list of things, foods that I think people should not be consuming at all, and foods and things that people should really have to a minimum and should be taking out of their daily diet in order to avoid stressing out the body even more on top of all the mental stress we have about finances and work and relationships and children and family, and on top of all the other stressors we have, such as Wi-Fi and phone signals crossing through our brains, and chemicals in the air and pollution in the air and all these other things, all these chemicals that we're putting on our bodies, all these parabens, preservatives, and all the pesticides that they're spraying on our food. You really want to limit the amount of stress that your body has so that you don't get sick and you don't become ill and you don't create dis-ease within the body. I hope you guys enjoyed today's podcast episode. I hope you take something from it and learn and grow and elevate your soul. See you on the next episode. Bye.